Hello viewers, Tim Ball here on The Huddle, and I'm with Ranjana Adhikari, a long-time contributor of ours. We've done interviews like this for a few years. It's great to see you again, but you have a slightly different introduction for us this time. Tell us about your current role and how things are going for you.
Thanks, Tim, for having me again, and it's always a pleasure to be a part of this. Yes, indeed, I have moved law firms now, and I'm now a partner at one of the leading law firms in the country, Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas. So yes, very happy to be in a new avatar and capacity talking to you today.
Plenty to talk about as always. I mean, I say that every time, but we've genuinely had a concrete development in Indian regulation, Indian gaming regulation recently. We've had a real money gaming ban, or perhaps even, I'm not even sure if I'm technically saying it exactly correctly. What I think would be really useful for our viewers, and even indeed for commentators like myself, could you tell us exactly what has happened and exactly in legal terms what it means?
Well, the irony of it is called the promotion and regulation of gaming, but it's quite contrary to what that name really suggests. But the reality is, let's bucket this down into two parts: what's been banned and what's allowed. What's been banned is really any form of real money gaming. And when I say real money gaming, I think historically, and for your viewers, they would know this, that there was a great emphasis on skill games in the country as being the legitimate allowed industry, and real money gaming was a stream of income which was sort of allowed for that as well. However, post this law, and just to give a status of where the law is today, the law is still not in force, but it's got all the precedent nascence and all the confirmations from the houses is required. We're just waiting for an enforcement date, so it's as good as law today. And having said that, I think what's today banned in that sense, it does not make a distinction between chance games or skill games. It's not an element that's of a consideration, which is what the legacy of the industry was built on for the last 20 years or so. So just to give examples, the fantasy sports industry, real money poker, real money rummy, all of that stands banned today, which were predominantly a large piece of where most of the gaming unicorns came out from. So that's something which, stands banned. What is allowed today are some unique categorizations. I think something that your viewers will be very, very conversant with is esports. But how you and I understand esports is not as simple under the law. There's certain conditionality, which also, entails things like recognition with federations, etc. So we'll have to see how that develops. But esports is definitely a category recognized. The other category is something called online social games. Interesting because I think most games are known for its interactive nature, and money element was never something that defined whether it was social or not. But Indian law does define it, but there are ways of monetizing online social games as well. I think the theme that the government wants to sort of protect is protecting the consumer, but they don't want to avoid innovation in the name of entertainment and just the social connect through games. So we need to see how this kind of evolves through rules as we go along, but I would imagine ad-based revenue, subscription fee, season passes, and all those different monetization ways would be available. What won't be available is incentivizing your consumers with rewards and prizes. So we need to see how consumer acquisition really plays out in the new era of gaming in India. And there is, I would say, another third category, maybe not the most popular one, but the law defines something called online games. And if you're not in the banned category and you're not in one of these two other categories, there is a potential of falling in that other category. But how acceptable is the government to sort of, embrace models in that, I wouldn't say gray zone, but in that fourth category? I think time would tell. And it's a little bit of a wait and watch in that sense.
Yeah, there's from your analysis, we can see there's still a few kind of burning questions. You mentioned innovation, and an immediate reaction from Flutter Entertainment CEO Peter Jackson, one of the biggest CEOs in the industry, so that shows you kind of how far-reaching this regulation was. He talked about kind of stifling innovation, but he also expressed his surprise at a lack of industry consultation. And this, to all intents and purposes, did seem a very sudden implication. As you say, it's not quite fully passed yet in various stages, but it was very sudden. Is that how you kind of saw it as well?
Look, Tim, as you know, I've been so closely associated with the industry for about 18 years now, so I've seen it from its infancy to all its consultations and the way it grew. Truth be said, I feel very similarly to what you've heard from the other stakeholders as well. I think folks like us felt blindsided about just the speed at which this development happened with Suvi real money games. We were talking about regulation, not a ban. And like I mentioned to you, it still says promotion and regulation of online gaming, but that's not what it truly is. I think the narrative changed for the government, perhaps somewhere because they felt that there was fragmented sort of voices from the industry. To be honest, it's an opinion, not necessarily something that I may agree or disagree with. But having said that, a common sentiment that this is something that no one was expecting for real money games. For the rest, I think it was expected that there would be a ban, perhaps for chance-based online, online money games, or there might be a promotion for esports and video games, which has indeed happened. So really, the victim over here is the fantasy sports and the rummy and the pokers of the world.
Yeah, and it sounds like there may naturally be a bigger investment now into the esports side of it.
I would imagine, yes, we're already seeing that happening. In fact, Tim, I would say we're going to see a lot more cross-border activity. What's been brilliant about the Indian gaming industry in the last 15 years is that they've made a fabulous technology, data-centric talent pool, and just their tech stacks and base is amazing. The quality of the production of the games that they already have is worthy of the world market. So at this moment, I could safely tell you that even the Indian operators are looking at global expansions as closely as they would look at innovation and pivoting in India. So it's going to be a two-way street in conversation. So I don't think deal making is going to really stop. It's too progressed in industry. The Indian government may or may not benefit completely from it, but look, we're here to stay.
Absolutely. Well, Ranjana, thanks for your time as always. As I say, we usually when we meet to talk about these things, there's some small developments and more playing a waiting game. On this occasion, it's completely different. But hopefully, the next time we meet, let's hope there's not another ban that's come in, and then there's been some positivity.
Well, I would want to feel positive about this, and maybe this is the government playing nanny and first trying to discipline us, and then probably introduce us to a more regulated market that's more acceptable to us. So hopefully, Tim, next time we're talking on something truly progressive.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for your time, and always great to see you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thanks to our viewers, and catch us next time as well.